Hey, Crypto Zach. Who else is just showed up? Okay. All right. So let us kick this off with, hey, Livia.
Sampo mission. The Sampo working group develops and grows the value of the economic layer of the token engineering commons. It aligns this microeconomy with the TEC mission and the collective success and individual benefit of its token holders.
Thank you. Thank you. So today, based on feedback from last week, we wanted to try to get to know each other a little bit more with some of these check-in questions, make it a little bit less about the work, which is great. That's a great direction. So here's my prompt for you all. Name one or two of your superpowers. And by that, I don't mean like, I wish I could fly or I wish I had super strength. I mean, what is it about you that is like pretty cool in terms of, you know, something you realized early on in life or a little bit later in life? It's like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this. So who would, okay, Lydia, I'm going to pick on you first. Would you lead us in this?
Sure. Is that how I'm welcome to?
Yep, that's what you get for coming.
Yeah, I think one of my superpowers is making bridges between like different groups of people, between academia and practice, between high level and detailed. I think I like doing that. And maybe another superpower is cultivating relationships. I feel very grateful with how much I feel like I have a family that grows and grows, and close people that are really dear to me and that I cherish a lot. And I'll pass to Iram.
Thank you, Livy. One of my superpowers definitely is crying. I'm such a good crier. I can cry any minute to anything. I think it's in a way, it's just I guess I'm very expressive and just find peace and not that much, shyness in my crying. I like doing it, but also I don't know, sometimes it's good because it lets me like process things way faster, and it allows me to really understand what's going on in my mind and heart, and helps me like align things fast and easy and in a very honest way. Another one, I can pretty much imitate any kind of like traditional and like other types of dances. Like I've been belly dancing, break dancing, hip hop dancing, balleting for so long. So I guess, that's more like a maybe hobby, but I really, really like learning about different kinds of dances and can just learn a new one on the go. And I'll pass it to Crypto Zach.
Hey y'all. My superpowers, I think, is working with ideas and developing ideas further. It's the main thing that I do for my job at Borderless is helping design new token models and protocols that and come up with creative ways to utilize tokens that help increase the success of a project. And another kind of related superpower is kind of understanding how things work on a macro level. Like I work really hard on trying to connect dots between all the different industries and participants in the macro economy. So I work really well at like understanding things from a big like macro level. And fun fact, I also love to dance. I shuffle dance and do West Coast swing almost every day. And I'll pass it to Bear.
Oh, thank you, CryptoSec. So for me, I think I'm good at kind of like facing unexpected problems or challenges that just come up like all of a sudden. Kind of like they bring me some type of what's it called, like a rush, and I'm really able like to focus and get them done instead of like being like sad or worried about it. It's just like a motivation for me to overcome them. And it happens like with really small things in life, and also like with more complex things. So I think that's one of it. And yeah, let's just leave it at that one. I'll pass it to Jean.
Thanks, Bear. Yeah, I'm gonna say my superpower is my mental health diagnosis, my disability. I'm diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, but I've heard somebody else diagnosed say, "I hate bipolar. It's awesome," and it is pretty awesome at times when you feel in a manic state. It's like kind of hard to give up. It's an addictive type of a thing where you feel so creative and so capable, but at the same time, you got to temper yourself because you feel empowered to do things that you're likely not able to do in reality. So yeah, it's a kind of a unique superpower, but it's one that I kind of don't regret having. Yeah, so and pass uh, to Anthony.
Uh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm supposed to speak about my superpower. I mean, what is it? I'm supposed to. I think I missed out on. Is there an echo?
Yeah, you're kind of cutting out a little bit, but the question was if you had to pick one or two superpowers, things that you're just uniquely good at, what would they be?
Okay. I think what I'm really good at is that very high level, conceptualizing. The second thing would be a very strong multi, disciplinary approach. I mean, I can stand like across, integrate across, disciplines. That's what I really bring to the table. But along with a very strong focus on economics and financial engineering. My economics is basically focused on technology. I don't know whether this was the type of response which you were looking for.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Do you want to pass it to somebody else on the call?
You please pass it on because
Sure.
I didn't know the sequence.
Yeah, no problem. Kojak, would you like to go?
I'm Kojak. Joe Santini is Kojak. So I think let me close one. I mean,
I didn't understand that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, maybe close one of them. That might help with your mic issue too. So I'm going to pass it on to, let's see, who hasn't come? Risha.
Thank you. So in terms of my superpower, I think that I'm generally good at kind of processing a lot of new information and then being able to look at the bigger picture and seeing how it all fits together. So I think that's definitely one of them. And then the second one might be, I think I'm able to live my life in a pretty simple way, taking on the whole minimalistic lifestyle. So when I travel and work remotely, I pretty much am able to fit all my belongings into like a backpack. And I think that it took me a while to get there, but I feel like that's probably a superpower that I'm proud of right now. Passing it on to Nate.
Thanks, Risha. Yeah, I guess I've always felt like I've had a superpower, and I've always considered myself a bit of an empath. And it has really allowed me to become relatable to whoever I'm talking to, and meeting people on their level, on their own terms. And I think that it has truly benefited me in a lot of ways. I mean, there's some downsides to that, as Gene probably would point out with his superpowers. But yeah, so I feel people's emotions very easily. If they're sick, I feel sick. if they're sad, I feel sad. It's a weird thing, but it really has benefited me in a lot of ways of being able to relate to each other, and so that's been really fun throughout my life, honing that skill. And I'll pass it back to you, Gideon.
Okay, thanks, Nate. And you forgot to mention your ability to do various what's the word? Impressions.
Oh yes, clearly.
So thank you, everybody. So mine, I would say mine is basically like pattern matching. Like I can see patterns really easily for some reason, and kind of like project them out into the future. And I love doing that. And then the other one is I'm pretty good at spotting people with passion and talent. Like that's one thing in my life I've been really blessed with, and I think I got that from my grandfather. He was really good at that, and I just used to sit around the breakfast table with him, and he would tell me stories, and so I think some of it just got absorbed into me. So yeah, okay. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you sharing that. I think it's important to just kind of be able to see that in each other and within ourselves. So it's nice. All right, so we are. So we're going to go to the next part, which is, well, I don't think we need to say anything about this new time. I think we're stabilizing on this new time. I was saying at the beginning, it's a little bit rough for stewards because it's right on the back of a steward's call. So it may make it a little bit tough to get here on time, but that's all right. Vacations, they're going to be, I think, over the next couple of weeks. I know I'm going to be away. I'll be checking in the mornings and doing probably a couple hours in the morning for like really, just important stuff. But if you know that you're going to be away and you are playing, like you've got like some critical path or like critical roles that you're playing over the next few weeks, if you can just maybe make a note here in the agenda, that'll help us to just like keep all that, just be aware. Treasury policy update. Nate, do you want to just give us a quick update of where things are at with that?
Yeah, so the Treasury policy document is up for vote on Snapshot. If you get a chance, token holders, to go and vote on that, it would be much appreciated. I think we had a little mishap with having a shortening of days. I think it's up there for a day less than it should have been. And so if we can get people to vote on passing that, it'd be great. Or if you're in opposition, please do that as well. Outside of that, I'm still working on the first investment strategy. This is a little bit more of a difficult process than I anticipated, but it should be up on the forum within the next few days. A big concern with that is centered around the question of the TEC tokens that we have in the laser tag wallet. Should we get rid of them? Should we liquidate them and in exchange for other assets? This is a really difficult decision, mainly because with our current economy and the way the ABC works, there are only so many TEC tokens managed by the commons, and this is kind of problematic in a lot of ways because we really want to have a stockpile of TEC tokens that we manage in part of our reserve, but getting rid of that would limit limit that amount of tokens being held, but not liquidating that would not give us any funds to actually invest. So this is kind of one of those issues that I've been pondering back and forth, but there will be more conversations to be had on the forum. I encourage all of you to, once it's put up there, to really evaluate it, comment on it. This is something that I think will be kind of a hot topic, and so I believe that, you know, having this first investment strategy proposed and getting approval by the community is of the utmost importance. So that's where we're at right now. So after the policy gets voted on, if it passes, we'll move on with the investment proposal or investment strategy, and then once that investment strategy gets approved, then we'll submit our first investment proposal. And so that is the path right now. Outside of that, in regards to the roadmap established within that policy, we're going to have a bunch of initiatives that need to be worked on in terms of setting up multi-sigs, in terms of going over this agent monitor relationship. So if anybody is interested in helping out with those initiatives, I think we're going to take it, you know, week by week and just slowly start building. So if you're interested in that, please just DM me and we'll get that. And if you have any questions for me, let me know. And yeah, that's about all the update I have for that, Gideon.
Okay. Thanks, Nate. So the next topic is the token engineering request board. Basically, we're gonna put that on ice for a little bit. So one of the things that we are realizing that we need to do just in general is it's probably going to be a good idea for us to take this out to our partners to get some feedback. In particular, right now, we are realizing that the Token Engineering Academy is like a key player in this thing. And one of the things we were looking at originally is that, you know, when people come to the TEC with needs for token engineering expertise, sometimes that's consulting, but sometimes it's like, hey, can you help me find somebody? And so the academy was going to be like a play a critical role in that in terms of like matching people who've just graduated or just completed the token engineering fundamentals course. We've gotten some concerns, just some questions about like where this service is going, but the problem is that the academy is just so focused right now on trying to launch the token engineering fundamentals course that they just can't engage with us on this. And so we just figured, Tam and I were talking about this, and we just figured for right now, better to just put this on ice, on hold, until Angela and the crew there can come up for air, and just, you know, and I think we're kind of looking at the overall relationship with the Token Engineering Academy and how we can support each other more fully. And so just in kind of like the view of that whole relationship and the particularly important role that the Academy could play in the service, we're just basically going to put it on hold for right now. So what that means is that we're going to shift some resources around, and the primary focus for the next month or so is going to be on this content curation service. We'll keep thinking about the token engineering request board in terms of where that needs to go, and we'll probably use this time as a way to get some feedback from some partners. But yeah, so focus is going to be shifting more towards the content curation stuff, which we're gonna turn to in a second. But let me just see if there's any questions about this before we move on.
Just a quick thing. I don't know if there already is. Maybe there is, and I don't know. And I mean, I agree if this initiative it's postponed a little bit, but I don't know if there are already some type of lists in which we are kind of like writing out the different projects that have shown interest at some point. and a different list of the different tea services providers that we would be working on, just like to have them concentrated in some place. I ask this because I've also been approached by some people showing interest, and like maybe just not tell them that we're not doing it anymore, but just like have their name on mind and just like have it all in one place for whenever this happens.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I just helped match somebody just a couple days ago, and it was, both sides were very appreciative. So yeah, I mean, I think we can be doing informal stuff, and it'd probably be great to just have that list. So yeah, I'll make a note to do that.
Or running a alpha version of this wherein it's as simple as a Discord channel or something.
Yeah, I mean, the initial version of this was going to be very simple. So we're just holding off on that, even that right now. Just because, basically one of the things I learned in my last job was that sometimes, it's better to go slow in order to go fast, right? It's like build the buy-in, build deep buy-in from all of your partners before you get started. Because if you get started and not everybody's on board, sometimes it just creates friction down the road. So we want to make sure that we're doing this right. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll yeah, sorry, who is that?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense.
Yeah. Okay. So, and if anybody has any other questions, you can just follow up with me directly, and I'm happy to explain more. Okay. So the next thing on the list is the token gate. So thanks to Enti, we have now chosen a technology which is Guild XYZ. We've implemented it. We worked through some bugs in trying to get this up and running. I'm going to share my screen so I can show you all where it is. And what would be great is if I'm just going over to the TEC Discord, and basically it's here. So if you go up to the very top and then just scroll down past the community section, you see that there's now this category within Discord that's TEC token holders. So right now, to start, for most of you, if you were to go and see this, you probably wouldn't see the token holder updates. You would just see the token invite. And so when you click on that, that will launch the bot that is the Guild XYZ bot, and that will take you through a few steps and confirm that you do have TEC in your wallet. All you need is one TEC, and then once that's confirmed, then you have access to this channel. So now actually, what would be great is if folks if you all could give this a shot while we're here. Let's just take like maybe five minutes and just see if you can get through this process and give some real-time feedback on any bugs or problems that you run into.
It's the one called token holder updates.
Yeah, so to get to that, you'll need to click on this token invite and then follow the steps. Can you all see the token holder updates before you click on the token invite?
Yeah, that's confusing.
No, I couldn't see it. It only went through after I updated to the.
It's probably to do with the mod access, because the role for the bot must be below the role for administrator. That must be why you're seeing that.
No, I think what it is that Livia, you're an admin on Discord.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's why you can see it. but nobody else can see it unless you're Nate. You could probably see it because you're admin too, I think. But can other folks see that before they click on that?
No, I can't see it.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
Okay.
Yeah, I could just see the token invite, but I'm going through the process to link my wallet now.
Okay. So I'm just going to wait just a few minutes while you all go through that process. And feel free. Maybe what you can do is if you're running into problems, just put it in the chat here in this on our call. Or you can just say it out loud. And you're not going to see anything in the updates channel at this point. So the next steps will be that Risha has been working on a document that will be a pinned message for that channel, and then just a quick update on that's like includes some financials and updates on working groups and things. You'll see that probably later today, I guess, Risha.
Yeah, I think later today it probably works out fine. There's some financials that we probably need to talk about with the July and August numbers, but outside of that, I think it's good to go.
Okay. How is everybody doing with this? Has anybody made it all the way through yet?
Yeah, I just got
Discord auth. I'm not sure about if you're supposed to do this on desktop, but Discord auth on mobile doesn't seem to let me through.
Mobile is not letting you through?
No.
Okay.
Other than seeing the token holder updates channel that opened up, do we need to see anything else in the welcome channel, or is it just it helps us join the updates channel? There's nothing else in there, right?
That's correct. Yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing. All you will see is the token holder updates channel, and when you click on that, there's not going to be anything in it yet. So that's working as it should. That's good. Anybody else? So we've got mobile issues. And CryptoZac, did you say that yours went through?
Yep, I'm part of the guild now.
Okay. And how about others? Gene, were you able to?
Yeah, I was already set up with Guild, so I'm not sure whether there was a difference, but I jumped right in, so it was kind of smooth, perfect.
Okay. And then Nate and Livia, it's hard for you to say because you already have the admin. And Kojak, how about you? Okay, I'm gonna. All right, so let's move on. There is a link here to the content. Actually, I'll just click on this real quick. So this shows you the first post that Risha has been working on, and yeah, that graph is it's great. I love that.
Hey Gideon, I don't think we can see your screen. We're still looking
you're
at the
right.
keyboard.
Hold on, sorry.
Yeah.
This graph here, this chart. Livia, it might be good if we got your eyes on this too, like just to see about tone, if you have time. But I think that in the short term, this is going to be kind of a soft launch. We're not like doing a big push on this to say like. I think we're probably going to wait over the next couple weeks and get some content in there, and then do more of a push to get on board with this.
That worked with That's for the token gate still, right?
Yeah, this is all for the token gate. So all of this, what you're seeing in that document that's linked here, would be like the first wheel post that would go in there. That's what this is. And I guess one question for folks on the call is, when we do start to, once we feel like, okay, this has been fully tested, we've got the mobile things, we've got this figured out, how should we go about promoting? What do you think is the best way of, reaching the existing community, but then also reaching out to token holders to let them know about this? Any thoughts on that?
I think one option is also sending it out in that monthly newsletter. So I'm guessing most token holders probably subscribe to that. That might be a good way to get the word out.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Bear, actually, I think one of the things that we probably want to do, Risha, is even tighten the loop with Manu on that newsletter, so that these things are much more synced. That was Bear's feedback in one of the comments. I think that's right on. So
I'm guessing other working groups should kind of do the same thing that we did, like giving it 5 minutes and signing up, because that's a bulk of the active community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe we can I can ask, since NT has been driving some of the implementation of this, maybe I'll ask him for help in working with some working groups. It's a good idea. Okay, well, let's go to the next section, where we're going to kind of pick up on the economic development theme, but there's like really one specific thing that I wanted to hone in on. And it has to do with the content curation service. And we talked about that last week. The one of the outputs of that service will be another channel that'll show up in the token holders category within Discord, right? So you'll get the token holder updates, and then once this service, the content curation service, is up and running, there'll be a stream that'll be like the greatest hits of the TEC, right? So the stuff that the community thinks is most interesting will be showing up there. Exactly how that'll work, that's something I'm going to be working on over the next month or so. And then some of the other outputs, we're working with Acid Laser on how, and we'll be meeting with him tomorrow, to talk about how the Twitter team can use some of the same posts, some of this information that's being curated by the community, to kind of enliven our Twitter stream and help us to engage the existing community, but also new folks, right? Like by highlighting the content that they're contributing into our Discord. So really excited about the potential of this way to engage existing community members, but then also recruiting and onboarding new folks. So the other thing I just wanted to share is a conversation I had with Mert and Shubnam last week about the Consilience Library and how this fits in with that. They were both really excited about this service and the potential to use this service, this curating service. Sorry, Kojak, you're contact. I'm not sure what you're asking. Can you ask it again there?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. You were just saying some contact. I mean, you're excited about a particular service, what exactly is that? Contact
Yeah. Okay. Let me. I think there were some people who weren't here last week, so let me just give a brief overview again of this content curation service. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Could you just repeat that? Because or even spell it out, because I don't understand what exactly that is. Contact.
Yeah.
What is that?
So, content curation service. I'm typing it here. Content curation.
Fine. Okay. Fine. I got it. Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. So the basic idea with this, just the short version of it is, the idea is people can come into our Discord server, post links to videos, articles, research, whatever it is, and then have other people in the community interact with that content through emojis. And then, so that would be over here in Discord. There's like a middle layer, which is basically a filter setting portal, right, or user interface where a working group can come in and say, I only want to see posts that have 3 hearts or more, or I want to see posts that have 3 hearts or more, and have somebody who has a curator role on Discord give it a thumbs up, right? And so you have all of the action that's going on Discord, right, in terms of posts of links and things like that, people's emoji responses. There's a filtering ad administrative interface, and then the results. Results are spit out they can be spit out in lots of different ways. To begin with, it'll be probably an Airtable. And that Airtable can be used to automate the publishing back of that stream of greatest hits back into a Discord channel, or could even, that we wouldn't do this, but it can send out automated tweets. We don't want to automate the tweets for that, but probably allow the Twitter team to be able to go in and edit the description before it goes out. Some of this stuff there's obviously some planning and some thinking we've got to go through for that part. So that's the basic idea. When I explained this to the Consilience library crew, they were really excited about that because, one, they don't have an existing tool for doing that kind of curation, but they have big ideas about this Consilience library, how to use it to cultivate a group of people sharing information about ethical use of token engineering. As I was talking with Shebnam and Mert about this, it became clear there was almost like a sense of relief that they could just basically focus on trying to curate content and build a sense of community within this. And so it got me thinking about that prospect of making it really easy for groups of people to self-organize here in the TEC around particular ideas or particular values. So I want to share, I'm going to stop sharing that, and I want to just share a quick, just one slide to kind of illustrate conceptually where something like this might end up going. So don't pay too much attention to the specific services that are here. These are more illustrative, but obviously we have transparency and we have gravity. This would be adding like a third service, which would be content curation. But communications help, right? With Twitter, like for instance with Twitter, engagement help, like helping to onboard people into a group. All of these different services are, we have some and we could develop others. The idea would be that we have existing working groups today that are already using these services to varying degrees. So comms and Sampo and stewards use some of these today, but that maybe what we do is we make it very easy to have kind of a different type. I'm calling it, rather than working groups, like an interest group that could essentially run itself without having to build a business model. They wouldn't have to necessarily make money, and that the value that they would be contributing to the commons would be just being a source of interest sharing to attract more people into the commons. And so you could imagine that Omega would be using that. Maybe even Livia, you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this, but like SoftGov could use that as a way to convene and expand conversations about governance and decision making. You could also imagine like somebody who is new to the community but really cares about token engineering safety coming in and setting up an interest group and having the support of all these things, but not a whole bunch of costs, right? They would just be able to access these tools and services for free as part of the public good of the commons. Same thing, if somebody wanted to come in and set up a sustainability group, it would just make it very easy for people to come in and form these interest groups as a way to advance the mission of the token engineering commons. So that's kind of the reason that I'm really excited about this content curation service, is that I see this as being a powerful tool for helping to basically pull more people into the community, into the commons, which is really the heart of this whole idea of a shelling, that's the heart of our mission. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to just open it up for conversation and comments and feedback in general about this.
Can you give an example of how one of the interest groups may use the bot for their own communities?
Yeah, great question. So let's take the Consilience library as an example. So let's say that you've got the existing Omega working group in there, and they're starting to share. They've already shared a bunch of, like, if you go into Omega, it's actually one of the liveliest channels on our Discord server, right? In terms of like the kind of knowledge and information that's being shared there. So if I were to go in there, I could look at the different posts and interact with them, and maybe do like a thumbs up or a heart. Like that would be what the emojis are, would be up to the working group to decide what kinds of emojis they would want to set for themselves, and the kinds of filters that they would set for their channel. But what would happen is, let's say, a particular post that I put in there a week ago, and let's say it got a lot of attention, people really were excited about it, that would be something that would show up in this feed. It would be up to the Omega team to decide what they wanted to do with that feed. Right now, they're talking about actually a separate website that would aggregate those feeds, but they could also, create a separate channel within, next to their existing channel to have the be able, to send the feeds out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Essentially, you're kind of like pulling up the most important information that's being discussed and making that available for any new people who might want to have access to that stuff and potentially even join the groups after.
That's right. It's also conceivable. One of the things I think is very, if we then found some people, found somebody, like a group of people who were on Twitter already talking about sustainability and blockchain, that we could then recruit those folks in and try to get them the support that they need to be able to share knowledge and around these same issues.
Cool. That sounds good.
Sorry, I just needed to close the door here. Source cred. No, we do not know the tagging structure. The philosophy would be try to keep this as and it's not really so much tagging in this unless you mean the emojis. But right now the thinking is that we would probably have there would be the most important the primary project here, primary use case would be comms. So working with Acid Laser to use this to basically boost our Twitter feed and our engagement on Twitter, and that we would also then use it as a kind of greatest hits channel within the tokeners category server. But for the other working groups, any working group that wanted to use this tool, I think that what we would be able to do is work with them, either have Disha or one of the people on the team here, work with each of those working groups to tune their filters the way that they want. Are emojis sufficient? Wait, hold on. Let me look at Gene's. So yes, source cred. We'll need a tagging or ontology. Source cred does this. Source cred does tagging and ontology. I didn't know that. Okay.
They just let you configure the source cred server to have designated emojis as having value. So then you can load them up on somebody's post, and that gives it pollen. And, yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes, that's one of the things that we've talked about is basically allowing the group to decide what are the emojis that they would want to kind of preload posts when sharing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, and Kojak, to kind of go to your point, it is possible that down the road we could set this up so that it wouldn't just be like thumbs up or like how much you like this, but it could allow people to say like, I think that this post is about governance, this one is about sustainability. Like there may be ways for us to do that kind of like taxonomy or folksonomy, bottoms up tagging of the content that's like topical tagging. The other thing too, we're not talking about this in this first release, but the folks at DAOstack are interested in lots of different applications of this. One of the ones that might be unique to us is if we wanted to do some type of praise tag that we could potentially link into praise as a way of rewarding people for participating in this service. I think we need to be really careful about that though, to make sure that we're not some of these kinds of things, like the minute you do extrinsic rewards like that, it kind of dampens people's intrinsic rewards. So, okay, anybody else have some questions about this? Comments, thoughts?
I think it's got a lot more potential than what we can imagine. For the sake, because I mean, it can be a repository of information and knowledge, and it's got commercial possibilities, earning possibilities. External, it's for the sake, because if it's possible to create a report based on all the content generated, and if that content generation is incentivized through a utility token or something, then it can become, and of course, if supposing a report is actually generated say based on governance or something which Gravity has done, which has a demand externally, it can actually earn again tokens. or even die or whatever.
Agreed. Yeah. This is what. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the point is this. This is where my presentation which I was trying to make was. This is one way by which the latent potential within the TEC ecosystem can actually surface through utility tokens.
Yeah, the idea with this one is that we would one of the initial places that the greatest hits would show up would be in the holder channel. So this is an experiment. This would be an experiment with having anybody could go to any of the channels and see this content without having to hold the TEC. But if you want to see the filtered view, you would need to hold the token. So this is kind of a baby step in experimenting with token holding as a way to drive the utility of the token up.
Yeah. That's for the TEC token. What I mean to say is that an additional utility token would. Anyway, I'll talk about that later. For the sake.
Okay. Okay.
I get your point.
Feel free to ping me afterwards. How about other folks? Any thoughts from other folks on this? Feedback, questions, concerns?
I didn't understand. Sorry if you explained already. How is the token connected to this?
Yeah. So the token would be really not used in this, except that the greatest hits filter. So like the stuff that the community has deemed has said is like the most interesting based on their interactions would go into like this is not the name, but like a greatest channel within the token holders section of the Discord. So you would need at least one to begin with. You would just need at least one TEC token to be able to access that. This would become like a for us to experiment with driving up the perceived value of the token.
Do you think maybe it's a terrible idea, but to use the token to curate?
Yeah, this has been kind of our dream, right? Of doing that, and I think that the DAO Stack folks who we're working with, Shahan there and some of the other folks there are really interested in that. So directionally, this sets us up to be able to do that, to use token curated registries. The name, Livy and I have talked about this before. This sets us up to be able to do that in the future, but we wouldn't do it in the beginning. The idea in the beginning is just keep this super simple and get something up by like October.
Okay. That might be a good thing to communicate early, though, that there is a transition coming, just so people don't feel like betrayed at some point, like, oh, I didn't need the token to do that, and then all of a sudden there's a token involved.
Yeah. That's a tricky one because I don't want to say that we're going to actually do that, but maybe we say that something considering. I don't know if we will do that, but it does seem very like a very promising path. Yeah. I'm just making a note.
I have one more question. So is the long-term goal of this for some of the interest groups to be able to monetize, I guess, like the important discussions that they're having or the important, I guess, nuanced knowledge that they capture amongst their channels? Like, is that something that we're feeling like could be the end goal of this, or are we thinking that it's more just kind of like to build community at this point?
I would say at this point, it's really just focused on building community. Really, my thesis about how the TEC thrives in the future is that it's just like Facebook and Twitter and all these. they first had to build a community. They had to build the social capital of people coming in and coming to one place and engaging in that place. And from there, then you have, once you actually are of service and of value, providing actual utility to stakeholders, then you can look at how to use that to drive up the utility of the token, or maybe create income streams, all that kind of stuff. So I think that gives us the option down the road. But really the first step, like our first step as a community, is to start providing a lot more value to the users of Commons. And so that's what this is really aimed at, is for the next 6 months, it's just like, let's really focus like crazy on trying to become a more interesting, attractive place to draw people into.
Nice. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. Okay, we have 2 minutes. I would say that we might want, because this is going to be such an important focus for us over this next couple months, that maybe we come back and keep this conversation going next week, because I really do want all to be able to absorb it. And maybe what we'll do is seed the we'll put a link to document where we're doing some of this planning in there, so you all can react to that, and then we'll talk some. Because we have 1 minute, and the community call is coming up. So yeah, thank you all for joining today, and yeah, this is good, really good feedback, and thanks for testing out. And we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Gideon. See you next week.
Thank you, Gideon.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Well.